Chapter 10 The Great Stone Face Part 2. This chapter is an extension of Lesson 9 The Great Stone Face Part 1. Ernest, a very simple and unnoticed boy, had grown up to be an old man with white hair. All those years that brought him here were not useless because he had become so wise that the number of thoughts exceeded the number of white hair on his head. He was not unpopular anymore. Many people came to see him, and the story tells us about one such poet born in the valley who had moved to distant cities but had come back to meet Ernest. In the end of the story, the old prophecy gets fulfilled as they find the man who bore likeness of the great stone face. Now, before you read, many years passed. Ernest was now a man of middle age. To his neighbors, who never suspected that he was anything more than an ordinary and familiar face, he was only a humble and hard-working, though thoughtful person. Now, but what about the old prophecy? Was it ever fulfilled? Let us read and find it out. In the Great Stone Face, Part 2, Nathaniel Hawthorne wrote about Ernest when he was in his middle aged. He was a grown-up man with all white hair. So if you start with the chapter, you can see that it's given the description of Ernest in his old age, with white hair upon his head, wrinkles across his forehead, and deep lines on his cheeks. Now all the years that brought him to this stage were not useless, because he had become so wise that the number of wise thoughts exceeded his number of white hair on his head. He was not unpopular anymore. Although undesired for, he received all the fame that many go after. In fact, he had become known outside the valley too. Many active men from the cities, college professors, and people from far away used to come to see him and have a conversation with him. He welcomed them with great sincerity and conversed with them with their purest heart, saying whatever came to his mind and even sharing his deepest thoughts. As he talked to people, his face would brighten, that would shine upon others as if he was a mild evening light with him being unaware of it. Now, as Ernest grew old with each year that passed by, he came to know about the poet who had come to this earth by the grace of God. Although the poet was a native of the valley, he had spent most of his life in a distant city, blessing them with his music. He even kept the great stone face alive with his poems. And after winding up his usual day's work, Ernest would read while sitting on the bench in front of his cottage door. After reading the poems, Ernest would lift his eye to glance at the great stone face. Now, as Ernest read the poet's works, he lifted his eyes so as to see the great stone face and asked him if the poet was worthy of possessing its likeness. The mountain appeared as if it was smiling, but it did not reply. On the other hand, although the poet lived far away from the valley, he very well knew about Ernest and had put so much thought into his character that he wanted to meet Ernest, who was so wise yet simple in his way of living. So, the poet greeted Ernest by saying good evening and asked him to let him stay there for a night. Ernest agreed gladly as the poet further said with a smile on his face that he had never seen the great stone face welcome a stranger so gently and kindly. The poet sat beside Ernest and they conversed for a while. The poet had never had the chance of talking to a wise, gentle, and a kind man like Ernest. While on the other hand, Ernest was amazed as he listened to the poet speaking so vividly. While Ernest listened to what the poet was saying, he visualized the great stone face bending to listen to him too. As he looked into the poet's eyes, Ernest very politely asked who he was. The poet pointed at the book in Ernest's hand and told Ernest that if he had read this book, he would know him too, as he himself had written it. Now, as soon as Ernest knew who the man was, he began noticing his features as he turned repeatedly towards the great stone face. Being disappointed, Ernest heaved a sigh upon being asked by the poet the reason behind his sadness. Ernest told him now he had waited for his life for the prophecy to come true and how he hoped the poet would fulfill it when he read the poems. Bringing a faint smile upon his face, the poet replied that he is not worthy of bearing the resemblance of the great stone face. Ernest asked the poet why he didn't consider himself as his thoughts, that is so beautifully articulated in his book, to be worthy of it. The poet replied that he was aware that his thoughts recite a distant voice of heavenly song, but his life had not been in congruence with his thoughts. He confessed that he had seen huge dreams, but they have remained only dreams, as he often lacked faith in his own thoughts. The poet further asked why a man like Ernest, who was a constant portrayal of goodness and truth, would see the resemblance of the great stone face in the poet. The poet said all of it in a sad tone, and his eyes were filled with tears. Ernest's eyes had tears in them too. Now, Ernest had a habit of speaking to his neighbors at the hour of sunset in open air. Therefore, he and his guest went to the meeting place. Arm in arm, the great stone face was also visible from the meeting place. So, as he began speaking to his audience, Ernest radiated familiar kindness upon them. He spoke whatever came in his heart and mind. His words had a unique power because they corresponded with his thoughts, and his thoughts were deep and practical because they resonated with how he had always lived his life. He did not just preach, but shared words of life, words that are filled with love and supported by a life spent on good deeds. As the poet heard Ernest speak, he thought to himself that the life story and personality of Ernest was in itself a form of poetry, something he had never written. His eyes became wet with tears as he heard Ernest, and he thought to himself how he had never crossed paths with a man who was so wise, kind, and gentle, with a thoughtful face that had the glory of white hair spread around it. Now, although a few miles away, the great stone was clearly visible from the meeting point. The golden light of the sundown fell upon it, along with mist that covered it, just like the white hair around Ernest's brows. At the particular moment, Ernest's grand expression was such that when the poet compared it with the great stone face, he couldn't control himself as he threw his arms in the air and shouted, "Behold, behold," to draw everyone's attention to the fact that Ernest is the likeness of the great stone face. Everyone could notice it, and they finally established with that the poet had told the truth. Finally, the prophecy was fulfilled. Ernest, however, finished the speech and held the poet's arm as they walked slowly towards home. Ernest still hoped that a man wise and better than himself would someday come who will be the likeness of the great stone face. So, this was the chapter, The Great Stone Face Part 2, written by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.